Imagine this. We are going to build a rocket, but not just any rocket, a rocket so powerful that it will blast us off the surface of the Earth into outer space. But that's not it though. We are going to orbit the Earth and land on the moon. But that's not it though. We are going to step out of the rocket onto the lunar surface. Wow. But this idea is not just an idea because we are going to do it. We are going to launch ourselves into outer space. Isn't this just awesome? Who here thinks it will be possible for us to do this? Raise your hand. Exactly. You raised your hand because you know it can happen because you had seen it done during the space race in 1969. But what if I told you this idea 100 years ago? Would you still raise your hand with confidence and say, yes, we will put a man on the moon? Highly unlikely. You will probably just sit there and think I was crazy. But this idea actually happened. For thousands of years, the moon was just out of reach, something we could see but never touch. But now that we have conquered the moon, we know no limits. And that's why, if you have ever been told the sky's the limit, I'm here to tell you the sky is not the limit when we have footsteps on the moon. But I did not come here today to talk about space travel, though it may be interesting. Instead, I'm here to speak to you today about youth journalism. As a youth journalist, I face several barriers in the media industry, the first barrier being underestimation. Oftentimes, adults will look at my young age of 13 and will take me seriously as a journalist. They assume that because youth journalists are young, we lack the responsibility, maturity, credibility, and qualifications to make a real impact. In the fall of 2022, at the age of 11, I was selected as a Scholastic Kid reporter for Scholastic Kids Press, and I had the opportunity to cover the Georgia midterm elections, interview politicians, greet the former President Obama, and even report at the White House. And in response, I received this comment: "Oh brother, enough of these children playing grown-up. Go do your homework." This is a barrier of underestimation. It's the idea that because we're kids, we should stay in our own lane and leave the important things to the adults. However, I can be a reporter and do my homework, and I will keep doing both because young people have just as much to contribute. The second barrier the youth journalists face is institutional bias. You see, journalism isn't exactly a youth-dominated field, yet. In fact, the average age of a journalist is 40 years old. This leads to the assumption that youth cannot be journalists. This stereotype that serious journalism is a profession reserved for adults means that the media sees journalism as beyond the reaches of youth. And the third barrier, and the key barrier I faced, was lack of platform. Lack of platform is often the consequence of institutional bias and underestimation. When youth journalists do not have access to platforms, the important stories they want to tell remain untold because people don't get to see the valuable contributions they can make. I first aspired to become a journalist at the age of 11 when I saw kid reporters my age and even younger reporting for youth media outlets. So I wrote a story about a local issue, I applied to a youth media outlet, but my entry was not selected. Shortly after, my family moved to Georgia, and I realized there was a teacher shortage, not just in my school, but in schools across the state. I wanted something done, so I wrote the politicians about the issue. Most never came back, and those who did either said they were too busy or there was nothing that they could do. So I decided to continue writing. I applied to Scholastic Kids Press, a news organization where kids write about news events for other kids. I was selected, received press credentials, and wrote my very first article titled, "Will Georgia Address Its Teacher Shortage?" which was published by Scholastic Kids Press. I was finally able to find the platform for this program. So, as we can see, youth journalists face barriers, but there's a solution: representation. Let me tell you a story. It was November 20th, 2023, 11 days after my 13th birthday. I was at the White House for the second time as a journalist covering the 2023 pardoning of the Thanksgiving turkeys. My mom and I were sitting in the White House press briefing room with members of the White House press corps when the chief of staff walked up to us. She escorted us to the West Wing Executive Office Suites and told us to wait outside a big brown door. At that moment, I knew my dream was just about to become true. A few seconds later, the door opened, and I took a deep breath. My mom and I walked in to find White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre waiting for me to interview her. Meeting her in person felt surreal. It's one thing to admire someone and see their picture online, but standing face to face with them feels completely different. I shook her hand and she invited me to sit. And I asked her, "Did you ever think of becoming press secretary when you were younger?" And she said, quote, "I never saw anybody who looked like me who had this job, so I think it was harder for me to envision myself in this job when I was younger. I hope by being here, by representing, that I will inspire young people. I wish I had that when I was your age or even younger," unquote. I was awestruck. Her story showed me that she too faces challenges, just like every one of us. She did not have someone to look up to in the role of press secretary, so she became that person for millions of young girls like me as our first Black press secretary. On that cold, sunny day in November, she said, "We always like to say, representation matters." It is a statement I will never forget. Similarly, I interviewed Monica Kaufman Pearson, a journalist of over 5 decades of experience. And she shared how she never really envisioned herself in the field of journalism until she found role models. She said, quote, "It never occurred to me because I didn't see people like me on television," unquote. She went on to say that her journalism career did not become a reality until she saw that there were, quote, "people like me who looked like me who were doing what I could do," unquote. Are you seeing the connection? 2 years earlier, I had the opportunity to interview actresses America Ferrera and Tessa Thompson, whom had sought me from the press box. Ferrera, who has spoken in the past about not seeing actresses like herself, decided to become the representation she dreamed of seeing in the field of acting. And then there is Stacey Abrams, whom I interviewed on my first day as a journalist. And she shared how she sought to become the nation's first Black woman governor because she did not see anyone in that role. Representation shows us what is possible, and she wanted to show young people that you could, quote, "shine and be anything you want," unquote. All my examples come down to this point: representation. If you can see it, you can be it. Let us put this in perspective and go back to the moon. The Apollo astronauts who first landed on the moon didn't just break through the atmosphere, they shattered our idea of what we thought was possible. The power of representation can make all the difference. And that is why story changes everything. Through hearing other stories, we see what is possible. Before we put a man on the moon, we thought it was impossible. But every challenge seems impossible until done. Every barrier seems insurmountable until overcome. Press Secretary Jean-Pierre, Monica Pearson, America Ferrera, and Stacey Abrams, although their stories are completely different, all come down to this point: representation. They did not see someone like them in a certain role, so they decided to become the representation they once dreamed of seeing in that role. And the key here is each woman has her own story to tell, and her story influenced her to make an impact. And each one of these women have overcome barriers and challenges to show us what we can do. When I interview all of these public figures, I realize that they're normal people, just like every one of us, and they have their own stories. Stories we would never be able to tell unless you actually asked. Story changes everything. Situations without role models are self-perpetuating. People avoid fields where they don't see anyone like them, keeping the cycle of lack of diversity alive. But whenever someone, preferably several someones, break through, it inspires and motivates others to follow. So now it is clear, we need to see more youth journalists in the media landscape. I never envisioned myself becoming a journalist until I saw key reporters working for youth media outlets. Representation matters in youth journalism. And once youth journalists overcome a barrier they once thought impossible, it will set the standard for more to follow. And hopefully, my experience, and my being here by representing will help pave the way for future youth journalists to dream big and achieve higher. When we hear the stories of those who overcame barriers, we become motivated to overcome our own barriers in life. Story changes everything. And by us being here together in this room, you are now a part of my story. After all, if you can dream it, you can be it. Thank you.